All right, the big story here in Houston this week, of course, Texans training camp.
Football's back.
And
it's time.
you know we're going to talk all about it. So joining us, Luis Ortiz and our good friend from Chalk Talk, Kim Davis. I know you both have been out there battling this heat, so we figured what better way to start our conversation than with a good old-fashioned temperature check. You've got hot, warm, and cool on what you've seen from the Texans thus far. Kim, start us out.
All right, so listen, it's only been 4 days. They don't get pads until tomorrow. I'm going to start with warm. Nothing's wrong. They're definitely not cool, but so far so good. And no injuries, right? So that could be hot, but I'm going to go with warm for now, and we'll see what happens at the end of this week.
I'm going to go with warm as well. Just like you said, Kim, it's way too early. Only 4 days in, 4 practices, still no pads. So I would say on Saturday, the defense dominated that day, right? They had a few good plays. The offense really not showing anything impressive yet. If anything, more of the bad part of the offense is what we've seen so far. So right now it's warm. Let's give it some time, Zach.
Hey, I love some good expectations. So I'm going to go with hot right now because I think what we've seen from this defense, to Luis's point, has been excellent. This defense was already one of the top defenses in the NFL last year. To see that they've already been ahead of the curve, which defenses usually are at the beginning of training camp, but it seems like they're on a mission to prove something. So I like where they are right now. I'm going to go with hot, but maybe warm as we heat up.
I think you
into
said
this
something really
next
key.
week. Yeah.
Defenses always start out, it's
right.
It's a whole new offense. It's a whole new system. So give them a minute, but defenses, it's not as much to, I want to say, install. And so, they are who they are.
All right, you guys aren't going anywhere as we continue this Texans training camp discussion coming right up. One word. That is the game that we are playing, joined again by Luis Ortiz and our good friend from Chalk Talk, Kim Davis, as we continue to talk Texans training camp. And let's start first with one word, one position group that stood out to you the most thus far in camp.
Oh, you got to think about it a little bit, right? Because I just feel like nothing's really jumped out so far. I would say, I'm going to go with DEs. I think for me, it's defensive ends.
Okay.
I think we've seen so far, Will Anderson Jr. had a couple sacks already. Danielle Hunter has also made his presence known. The defense in general. So I think for sure you can see the defense is already, off to a good start. A head start, you can say, just because of how good they were last year. They already have, it's not like they have a lot of new pieces, and most of them are, the same guys. So they have that chemistry, that camaraderie, everything going on. And it's just, talking to the guys, they're all talking about just getting better, taking that next step.
All right, Kim, while you write yours, I'm going to give mine. Mine, maybe it's, the one everybody would pick, or most people would. It's the defense. We were just talking about how impressive this defense was last season, how much it seems they're carrying it over into this year. But what I like is that they're not stopping at wanting to be great. They want to be the best in the league. And I think this defense very well could be the best in the league this year if they put their minds to it.
It's good to see them have Sheldon Rankins back in defense. All right, so I'm going to go with secondary, if you can read that. It's all about defense, but I think the secondary has been impressive. And listen, if these safeties are healthy, it's going to be the best group in the league. I'm confident about that. So I felt pretty good about them. It's tough for me with the guys up front when they're not in pads, but the defense is going to be pretty spectacular.
And one thing that you touched on as far as them wanting to be the best, DeMeco Ryans, they talk about how, especially when we talk about the DEs, he was asked about how can that duo of Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. take that next step. And he said, look, these guys just finishing, right? When they get those sacks, turn them into fumbles, right? Those strip sacks or whatnot. So this team is kind of dialed in, zeroed in on that, they knew that last year they were one of the better teams and they had a lot of opportunities, a lot of sacks, fourth in the league with 49, but they feel like they missed opportunities in taking the ball away.
Takeaways are key, right? That's what he said. It changes ball games. So other than interceptions, they didn't have as many takeaways, and that's a focus.
And that team that wins the turnover battle, we hear it every year. All right, while we reset on our whiteboards, let's pick the next topic, the next word for our discussion, and it's how high or how low do you think the bar has been set thus far at Texans camp?
Right, and set by the Texans. Let's clarify that. For me, it's low. I say they're setting the bar pretty low, just because I feel like Kim, you mentioned a very good word that I liked earlier, non-committal. You know, you talk about Nick Caserio in his opening presser. They asked him about, okay, what's the next step for this team? And he really kind of said, like, well, the next step, I'm not sure what it looks like. You know, record-wise, they've said we don't know what that's going to be like. I'm not hearing specifically from him or D'Amico. You know, D'Amico said, hey, the success we've had the last 2 seasons doesn't predict or guarantee anything, which, yes, it's true. But I feel like if you're a Texans fan, if you're a Texans player, staff member, coach, whatever, you want to come out here and say, look, what we've accomplished, okay, it's been good so far, but we want more, right? You talked about the defense wanting to be the best. The Texans should be coming out here and saying, it's not about being cocky, right? Don't oversell it or overhype it, but you do want to come out here and say, listen, we've taken this step so far. We've reached the playoffs, but now the expectation should be reach that or more, not non-committal gray area and say, well, we don't know. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Well, that is indeed my word,
okay.
non-committal. And I'm going to tell you why I'm okay with it. That is the makeup of this team. That's the makeup of their head coach. Because they are not publicly saying it to us, I have no doubt in the locker room, in the meeting rooms, they're talking about winning the division again, getting to the AFC Championship game. It's not who they are to talk about it publicly. I know we think it's too early for bulletin board material, but that's just not how they're wired. That's not who they are, and I think we have to be okay with them being who they are. So they're not committal. They want to be really good and take big steps. You heard Hannah McNair say something this week, but I don't think you're going to get a number from this team. We've never gotten anything like that in all the years that Nick Caserio has been here, and if you've covered D'Amico and known him for a while, that's not how they roll. So I'm okay with it. It's non-committal publicly, but I believe in the locker room they're saying, hey, we'll see y'all in L.A.
And she just sweated me with that. Okay, I got to give Kim credit for that. I like that. You know, that is a very, very good point.
Thank you.
Well, thanks, Elise. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. That's exactly why she's here, because she gives us some great points and great takes. And my word is managed, as in these expectations are managed. Managed to the media, I might add, because I do agree with Kim. I think behind closed doors in the locker room, the Texans are absolutely committed to making it to the AFC Championship, a place that they have never been in the organization's history, and certainly the step they have got to be hoping to take in 2025, 2026. And that leads us to our last topic as we erase our boards here. One word to describe how important this season is for this group, with CJ Stroud being in the 3rd year of a 4-year rookie contract. How important is this year for the development of this organization?
I'm going to go, okay, so we're doing one word. I'm going to do one number.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying it's 3/4. You know, it's not 100%. It's about 75%. It's pretty important, but not super important. For me, I think it kind of goes into, it's a 2-part answer, if you will. CJ Stroud in his 3rd year of that 4-year, rookie contract. Now, this is the window that you have. It's kind of a tight window, right? Where you don't owe him that much money. It's kind of when you have him at a discount, right? So you want to take advantage, take the opportunity of having him for cheap and being able to compete now before you start running out of money and you can't bring in other players, right? So it's important in that sense. There's a little bit of urgency. And also just going back to what we were just talking about just before, them wanting to just prove that they are progressing, they're getting better, and that the team is going in the right direction.
And I'm going to go second because I want to give Kim the last word, okay? So I'm going to say extremely important this season. You know why? Because when you're a junior in high school or a junior in college, you know how you think, oh, I've got 2 more years left. This is great. This is fantastic. But guess what? When senior year gets there, that's reality. It's already almost over by the time senior year gets there. So my point is, for the development of this organization and whatever is going to happen next, this year is going to be an extremely important measuring stick. And I think it will help them in many ways, not just when it comes to, getting over this hump of making it to the AFC Championship, but how they perform this year could very well end up setting them up with the trajectory of their franchise in the next 5 years. That's how important I think this year is. Kim, what do you think?
So I do think it's super.
Excellent.
I think it's super important because of all the things you just said. And, Luis, you talked about it being CJ's rookie contract. I would not be surprised if they were to tear that up this year and extend it. Yeah. Right? I would be surprised if they wait until next season to do something about the contract, right? Yeah. I think he's earned it in terms of who he is on the field and off the field. And just because of the way quarterback salaries are going, you want to lock him in if you're seeing something early that says we are right about who we think he is. But also the other pieces, right? You've got other pieces around that you've got secured through this year. So while you want to keep advancing, this is an important year, especially for some of those veterans on the high end, because you've got several people you've got to take care of, including Will Anderson Jr., not just CJ. So this year is super important.
Super important. Kim Davis, thank you so much for having the last word on this discussion with us. And thank you so much for being with us today, Kim Davis. From Chalk Talk, we will have much more coming up.